Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions, by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry titan on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Ayyapan Kandasamy. As the epitome of leadership and expertise, he has built a distinguished professional path by developing robust systems that respect sustainability and safety imperatives along a steady career track with a steadfast dedication to ensuring severe compliance with local and worldwide environmental, health, and safety legislation. His expertise in product safety and oversight is drawn from a diverse range of global organizations. At present, in the capacity of Global Product Safety Head at Levi Strauss and Co, he leads the charge in steering the Product Stewardship team towards ensuring the safety of garments, leather, and footwear. His focal points include sustainable product design and managing chemical protocols for zero-discharge initiatives. Notably, under his leadership, Levi Strauss has witnessed a dedication to implementing robust systems that ensure compliance with sustainability and safety standards on a global scale. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Mr. Ayyapan.
Hi, thank you.
To begin with.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
It's my pleasure to be part of this conversation. Thank you.
So to begin with, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey with highlights on important career milestones, decisive professional steps, greatest contributions, etc.?
So since my education background is chemistry, so I did masters in chemistry and also in normal science. So I started my career as a chemist, right? So since I started my work as a chemist, one of the things that always I prefer to do is how effectively we develop systems and process that can potentially help the challenges to navigate more efficiently, right? So so I always follow a 4Ds approach: develop, drive, deploy, and demonstrate, right? So whatever the process that you wanted to implement in any supply chain process, it always important that how effectively we are able to develop a process and how efficiently we were able to deploy and drive that program to more successful in the industry, right? So so for example, when I started my journey with a company called SGS, and one of the things that I got exposure was due diligence, because that time there was a tsunami in Chennai. A lot of people in South India were affected by the tsunami, and there was a FIFA World Cup that was happening in Germany that time, right? So there is a carbon credit, and people from the developed countries, they wanted to invest some money in the developing countries, and they wanted to run a project in different developing countries. So that time India was fortunate to have a funding from FIFA World Cup, and they wanted to fund people in down south of people in Tamil Nadu, and help them to bring more replacing the wood-based cooking process to biogas process in their home. So they invested huge lot of money, and we got the project for the company. And the overall study is to analyze the social and environmental impact of the tsunami affected areas, and how this fund can be used for developing a biogas for all those people, and it can be used for their cooking process on a daily basis. So this was one of the initial project that I was able to handle in the beginning of my career, and this project really helped me to gain a lot of insights on the social impact. These days people are more talking about ESG, right? So ESG is kind of a core requirement these days for the industries. But in my early days, I was really fortunate to have getting exposure into these ESG areas and assessing the social impact due to the environmental impact that they see in their day-to-day life. So what we have done is, so we took a actually we have traveled across all the villages within Tamil Nadu, down south of Tamil Nadu, of Nagur, Nagapattinam, Kanyakumari, all those areas. And we did a overall impact study on both the environmental and social aspects. And this work really helped me to understand how these programs can be implemented more effectively, and by implementing right process and the right protocols in place. And that's the time that where we started developing our own standards, because that time UN was kind of developing protocols and standards for the industry to measure ESG as a metric for every industry. I think I was really fortunate to have this level of learning at my early stages of career growth. And then I joined a company called 3M. 3M is known for the most innovative company in the world. And I was part of the R&D, Research and Development Center, where I got an opportunity to work as a product stewardship leader, where we have implemented life cycle assessment. So when I say life cycle assessment, it's a end-to-end product solution, product compliance solution for the company, right? So because the ultimate goal of life cycle assessment is basically to identify the risk at every stages of product development, right from raw material to disposal of the product, because it has got every stage of product. There are different level of risk and impacts. So we have come up with a defined set of life cycle management process that really helped us to assess the product impact to ESG in terms of environment, social, and the company governance that we are talking about. So we have come up with a different set of protocol that really helped us to navigate all the challenges at every stages of product development, and we recorded all those details as a guidance document for every product that are being developed within 3M, right? So and we were really proud to say that this was the one of the initiative. It was the first kind of initiative in India that we did when I was in 3M, and that was really appreciated by FICCI. And we got that early in 2013. We got a Corporate Excellence Award for Sustainability for implementing life cycle assessment for products in 3M, right? Because in 3M, they have been known for having developing more unique product to different markets, different customers. For example, the stethoscope was invented by 3M, right? So, and it was the first invention for medical industry. And if you take any market, whether it is automotive, medical, consumer product, or chemicals, specialty chemicals, so everything, it was a very diversified business where we played a major role in developing a life cycle assessment protocols for every product category, for every customer, because since it's a global company, it has to also satisfy the regulatory requirements globally, right? So because there are stringent regulation that we always see from Europe and US, and by learning from those mistakes, because one of the things that we always say when we were in 3M, so mistakes are allowed, but we should not repeat the same mistake again, right? So that was the mantra that we had. And it was a great learning that time, and we developed life cycle assessment protocols for every product categories of diversified business, and we implemented across all the countries, including India. That was really we got a good recognition from FICCI, and also that time I got a Corporate Excellence Award as an individual contributor from my corporate company in 3M. So that was the foundation in which I was able to gain more insights about ESG, as a core deliverables that are needed for the industry these days. And then after completing 8 years of my service in 3M, and then I joined a company called Levi's. So Levi's is known for completely, it's a totally different industry where we used to make garments for different countries, and India is one of the biggest sourcing country for Levi's. And we have got so much of fabric mills, garment vendors, and there are sundry suppliers, accessories. We used to manage around 168 suppliers within India. It was a Herculean task, and implementing all the product compliance requirement within the LS & Co supply chain. It's a great deal. Since I was heading that global product safety for Levi's, so one of the tasks was for me is to how we can eliminate all the product risk at the early stages of product development, right? So, and then we thought of coming up. So we used to have a new product introduction program as a whole, because there are various stakeholders are involved. We used to discuss internally, right from product developer, designers, and then the sourcing team, quality team, sustainability, and my product safety team. So we used to discuss within the table, and we have come up with a process called the Product Safety by Design framework. It's one of the first kind of a framework for the industry. Since I was part of steering committee in AFIRM. AFIRM is nothing but apparel, footwear industry RSL management group, which is the industry funded forum where all the industry leading people, they used to sit together and develop a industry standard for the textile industry. And the framework that we developed as a product safety by design design for framework is one of the new thing that we brought on the table from Levi's. So myself and my team, it's basically, it has got a goal to identify the product safety risk at the early stages of product development and eliminate them before the product goes to the consumer, right? Because ultimately the consumers wanted to have the products that are safe in their hands, right? So when you talk about textile garments, every garment has got different colors, and colors are nothing but the dyes that are used in the production process, the chemicals that are used, right? So, and then most of the chemicals are known for it's a hazardous property in nature, right? And then every chemical has got its own risk in nature. So our goal was to identify those chemical risks and eliminate them before we make the final product within our production process. So like I mentioned, the product safety by design framework, it has got various aspects to that. We started with making a policy. So for example, if you look at the chemical industry, people are now talking about eliminating PFAS, the perfluoroalkyl substances, which is one of the carcinogenic substances, cancer producing substances, which is completely banned. Unfortunately, 3M was penalized with $10 million for producing PFAS chemical in their supply chain. But the learning that we had from 3M, it helped us to navigate those challenges in Levi's. And we took a very conscious decision. We took a very proactive steps to eliminate those PFAS used in the supply chain process overall, right? So we have come up with a PFAS elimination policy, and we have identified a priority chemical for the supply chain, which includes antimicrobial, flame retardants, and then there are different carcinogenic dyes that are not good for human health, right? So we have identified those category of priority chemical, and we have set up a process to identify them at the early stages of product development, eliminate them, and we started using alternative chemical which are less harm than the high risk chemical, right? So it was the end-to-end process that really helped us to identify the risk at the early stage and eliminate them before we place our product into the market. And also we have trained all our supply chain partners on how to identify the chemical hazard risk in the supply chain process and eliminate them more proactively, right? It's a cross collaboration with every stakeholder. They were involved in the overall process, and it really helped us to navigate all the challenges more proactively, right? So yeah, so predominantly my overall ESG aspects are primarily focused on chemical compliance, product stewardship, and also the circularity. Because in textile industry, circular materials is demanding aspect these days for every textile industry. And yeah, so we have put a lot of resources in developing our own standards and protocols. And we also implemented a program called Screen Chemistry Program. So it's a screening methodology by using green screen methodologies, which is approved by US Green Screen. So we have used those methodologies to identify the chemical risks. There are 18 health criteria in which we have identified those risks at every chemical formulation, and that really helped us to address the 100% compliance for the product, which is basically product stewardship initiative that we have established in Levi's.
Mr. Ayyapan, thank you for the excellent start to this interview, and I must say your career journey is truly inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah.
So continuing our conversation, our viewers would like to know, could you elaborate on your role in managing chemical protocols for zero-discharge initiatives and sustainable product design?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, so I was part of AFIRM steering committee, and also we have been closely working with the ZDSC, zero-discharge of hazardous chemicals, which is another forum for the textile industry, which involved, bringing together all the supply chain stakeholders together and, aim for an elimination of hazardous chemical throughout our supply chain. We call it as zero discharge. So what is zero discharge? So because there are chemicals that are used at every stages of product development, and we don't want to discharge those hazardous chemical into our wastewater, right? So what we have done is, so we have come up with our own standards and protocols as an industry initiative, and that has been implemented across all the supply chain within the apparel industry. Okay, so whatever the protocol that we are following in Levi's, the same protocol will be followed by my competitors, right? So it's a kind of industry approach that we have drafted that really helped us to address the common goal that the industry was aiming for, right? So because most of the chemical that when we talk about the chemical, every chemical has got its own risk. So there are chemicals which are carcinogenic. There are chemicals which are highly toxic in nature. There are chemicals which are highly persistent in nature, and there are chemicals which are endocrine disruptors, so which will affect our human health system. So we have identified every health criteria. So we have, if you look at our standards for that we follow in the textile industry, there are 18 health criteria that we follow to identify the hazardous risks that we see on the chemical side of it. So that really helped us to navigate all the challenges for eliminating chemical risk within our supply chain. So when I say products, sustainable product by design, so it's a concept basically, as I mentioned in my beginning conversation. So our goal is to identify the risk at the early stages of product development, right? So because these days, as a textile industry, now we are looking at how we can recycle the fibers, right? So because there are fibers can be recycled. We predominantly use cotton and polyester, and there are different set of regulations promoting more and more recycle process for the fibers. And there is a regulation within European Union. They have been kind of promoting through eco-design concepts within textile industry. So our goal is to reuse the fibers again and again, right? So but when you use hazardous chemical in the the fabric manufacturing process, potentially these chemicals can impact the recycling process, right? So it's really challenging situation for the textile industry. So what we have done is we have come up with different set of manufacturing process that can potentially eliminate all the hazardous chemical by using different methodologies within the supply chain, so that we can achieve collectively as a zero discharge when we make the final product, right? So that was the initiative that we took as part of overall initiative that we follow for the textile industry as a zero discharge.
That sounds incredible. So building on to that, In what ways does your work extend into the broader fabric of society, and how do you envision sustainability as a driving force for transformative change in the corporate landscape?
So yeah, but, as I mentioned, so basically, the industries, primarily have a goal to address the regulatory compliance as a foremost, priority. Every country has got its own regulation. So, for example, if you take US, they have got their own set of regulation, and Europe has got a different set of regulation, and India has got its own regulation, right? So, since there is no standardized approach across all the countries to work on the ultimate goal of eliminating hazardous chemical within the supply chain, because it's a complex industry, and it's a tough industry for identifying the risk, the product risk, for making 100% product compliance for every market, right? So that's where the industry has decided to work together and come up with more industry approach rather than a brand specific approach, right? So we started working on developing industry approach, which are as I mentioned, the AFIRM initiative and zero discharge of hazardous chemical initiative. In addition to that, Europe is kind of front runner in developing eco design concept for the textile industry. They have already come up with new proposal for eco design for sustainable product regulation, which is one of the golden regulation that we could say in the textile industry, that has got different set of requirement that we have. So one of the things that they always look for is how the product can be more durable. So one of the primary requirement is how the product can be more durable, so that the customers may not buy the garments more frequently, right? So because the more you buy, we dispose more product into the environment, and it's a waste, and we are actually polluting our own planet just because of consuming more product, right? So again, by making more durable product in the market, we are making sure that the product used for longer time, and then when it get disposed, and then the fibers are having a better strength, so that it can be reused as through the recycling process, right? We can make a new fiber out of the garment that are disposed. So these are the initiatives that has been started evolving over a period of time within the textile industry. So then we started more focusing on how we can keep our consumers more informed, so that they can make a better decision when they buy a product, right? So, and then there are different set of labeling requirements that we have come up with. If you look at any garment, you'll see a label that are attached to the garment. So that gives the complete information about the product, where it got manufactured, who is the manufacturer, which factory, by when it was manufactured, and what is the criteria that we have followed to address the sustainable aspects of the product, right? So all those informations are available within the garment. So this is the one of the initiative we as an industry we took a couple of years back, and I think it's evolving as a standard, global standard for the industry. And since we get a lot of regulation from different countries and regions, especially in Europe, I think it's going to be the evolving story for the industry.
Amazing. Since we are discussing about sustainability and zero discharge initiatives, here is my next question to you, and a very obvious one. How and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
I think it started from my early stages of my career, Sunny. So basically, as I mentioned, when I started my career as a chemist, the first project that I got was actually ESG, right? So identifying the social impact of the environment, and how we can translate that into a workable solution, so that it can help the people within the community to live in a better environment, right? So that's when we started. And then since I got a early introduction into ESG concepts in my career, that really helped me throughout my career journey till now, right? So, and we, even though we started with analyzing the social impact for the environment, then I was fortunate to get elevate into a product risk, chemical risk, zero discharge. Pretty much I'm able to cover every aspects of ESG, right? So right from developing policies for the company that can potentially help to navigate all the challenges of ESG. So which includes environment, where we try to protect the environment by avoiding any disposal of chemicals, products, and then looking into social impact of when we try to dispose some products, so how it's going to impact the overall social environment. And then in order to avoid both environmental impact and social impact, how the governance need to be developed, or what are the standards need to be incorporated within the company. That really starts with the policies, right? So when you are able to communicate the policies with every stakeholders within the supply chain more efficiently, I think we can get the job done for ESG at more efficiently. That's the reason I mentioned in the beginning that we tend to follow 4Ds approach: develop, drive, deploy, and demonstrate. This is the kind of a core mantra that we used to follow, myself and my team. That really helped us to navigate all the challenges for the ESG till now. And I think that's a great learning, and still we are learning. It's a great thing for us, till now.
So, Mr. Ayyapan, how and I would like to ask you, as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
So basically, one of the things that I always focus is, how proactively we can mitigate the risk, right? So because see, most of the time, people tend to take a reactive approach. They do something and try to start, identifying the risk, and then take some reactive step to address that risk, right? So when we talk about ESG, every aspects of ESG has got its own risk. Identifying the risk at the early stages, it's a mastering, right? So when you're able to identify the risk at the early stages, and we have a good plan in place to eliminate them more efficiently and more proactively, right? So one of the things I always discuss with my team is, as a team, how we can identify the risk at the early stages, and what is the protocol that we can implement within the supply chain that can potentially help us to identify the risk at the early stages, right? So that we can keep all our stakeholders, all the decision makers are well informed, so that we can make a timely decision before the risk get escalated to the next level, right? So because in the company, the top level management always dependent on the middle level people, and middle level people are closely working with every supply chain stakeholders, and they have every information in their fingertip. But how you communicate those information with the top management so that they can make a right decision to avoid any conflict in the market or any non-compliance in the market or for the regulation, it's really important. So my take for bringing more value addition on the table is, keeping my stakeholders and the top management informed about what are the risks that we are going through, and how we can identify those risks more proactively, and how we can communicate with the stakeholders so that we'll be implementing right process in place to eliminate them more proactively. That's how I used to deal with that, sustainability.
So, Ayyapan, now that we have discussed your career journey, your professional pursuits, roles and responsibilities, your take on sustainability, ESG, and corporate governance, let's dive into the subject of technology and its potential impact on a professional landscape. So here is my question to you. What are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? That is A. And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, Web 3.0, etc.?
Yeah, so if you look at the current industry environment, every industry has got its own big data, right? So because, for example, when I talk about the textile industry, there are different set of components that are coming into product manufacturing, and there are different suppliers involved within the overall supply chain, right? So you have a fabric mill, and you have a garment vendor, you have sundry developers, sundry producers, accessory manufacturers. So for example, if you take any garment which has got a fabric, and the fabric is treated with some chemicals so that you'll see a color on the garment, and then you have a buttons, zippers, labels, and then a different set of finishes, like somebody wanted to have waterproof finish on the garment, somebody wanted to have a printing on it. Look at the number of stakeholders they were involved in the process, right? And everybody is generating some data, right? And managing these data is a Herculean task, right? And by using this big data, we need to translate more better information, better product information that can be useful for the consumers, right? That's the biggest challenge that we have today. I think the artificial intelligence that we have today, it's really helping us to navigate those challenges. So even if you look at the regulatory field, people are now thinking about how we can come up with more digital product passport, right? Because it's an evolving concept these days, and people wanted to have more digital media to convey some product information to the consumers, because everybody right now, all of us, we use mobile phone and we have a scanner, and by just putting a QR code on the product, any consumer can scan the QR code, and they can get the complete information about the sustainability aspects of the product through a digital form, right? These are the things that are currently evolving. So already there is a regulation called the ESPR regulation in Europe, and one of the requirements that they have is digital product passport, so that the consumers can make a decision based on the information that are available on their hand, right? So because everybody wanted to take informed decision on any product they wanted to buy in the market. So I'm not just talking about only the textile industry, but also for every consumer product that we buy on a day in, day out. And I think the industry is now looking for how I can share my product information through digital media, and how I can concise the big data into a simple, readable, a digital passport for any consumer. I think it's evolving right now, and very soon we'll see more and more QR code on the product that are printed in some corner of the product, so that consumer can read and understand, and people are willing to pay some extra penny if the product is sustainable, right? And there is a lot of awareness from the new generation people, and I think it's going to be the next a big thing for the industry, communicating the product information through digital media, which is a digital product passport.
So Ayyapan, thank you for sharing such amazing insights into different subjects. So this brings us to the last question of the session. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole team of World Development Corporation?
I think it's a really great initiative, because I have gone through a couple of YouTube videos from Zishan. I think he's also part of India Achievers Forum, I believe, because I was part of one of the nomination committee last year, and it was really fortunate to have a quick update from Zishan on how this development community forum is evolving over a period of time, and then how they are putting a lot of efforts in bringing more talents as an independent director for the industry for India, right? So I think it's really heartening to see such initiatives are being taken up to promote more responsible corporate practices for the industry within India, and elevate the governance standards, because these days people are bringing more and more standards within that industry. I think people wanted to see that there is a standardized approach worldwide. I think in that area, World Development Corporation is taking a lot of steps in bringing those governance standards worldwide. I think by equipping a professional with these kind of standards, with the right skill, the essential skills and the knowledge that are required to become a globally competent board of directors, which is an incredible initiative from the WDC. I think I'm really fortunate to be part of this community, and I hope the initiatives are really crucial for India as a developing country. I think looking forward to have more from both Zishan and Hevel Mehta. Yeah.
Great. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Mr. Ayyappan, for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks. Bye.